the agenda.
Second.
Motion by DeWitt, second by Young to approve this week's agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Items 3 through 7 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 3, approval of the minutes of the August 21st, 2018 meeting. Item 4, approval of claims. Item 5, approval of appointment of Richard Ellison to the Woodbury County Civil Service Commission. Item 6A, Human Resources, approval of memorandum of personnel transaction. B, authorization to initiate hiring process. And C, approval to provide flu shots to Woodbury County employees. Item 7 is secondary roads, consideration of utility permit to work in the county right-of-way. I need to abstain from item 6A because I am directly affected by that agenda item. I will move approval of the consent agenda with me not voting on 6A.
Second.
Motion by DeWitt, second by Ung. Can I vote? I've already declared an abstention from 6A.
Yes, well, I'll note that you abstain from 6A.
Would anybody else want to have a separate vote on item 6? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 8, Sioux Rivers Region, approval of Iowa County's Technology Services Business Associate Agreement. Julie, could you just give a 1-minute summation of what we're looking at and doing with this, please?
I'm Julie Albright. I'm the Mental Health Funding Coordinator, employee of Woodbury County, working for Sioux Rivers. This business associates agreement has nothing to do with any region. It's something that ISAC lawyers met with other lawyers in Des Moines and decided that this agreement would be necessary to keep us HIPAA compliant using our CSN system, which is a statewide data system all the counties use for mental health clients information. Mental health advocates use it. This is just to protect us and make us HIPAA compliant. And they've asked that every county and every region sign it. Most counties have already signed it, as well as all the regions. So I'm just asking that you would approve this. And that's it.
Any questions from the board?
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Potabom, second by Radig to approve agreement with ISAC. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Item 9, secondary roads. Award quotes for an equipment trailer for the secondary road department.
Mr. Nara would recommend that the board award the quote to Murphy Tractor for $63,800.
I'll move that recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Radig, second by Ung to approve award of a quote for an equipment trailer. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 9B, receive quotes for 2018 PCC patching project.
It looks like we received 2 bids. First bid is from 10 Point Construction in Denison, Iowa. You have a bond enclosed. $101,085.08. For the board, I brought some bid tabs to compare with our estimate.
Who was that first one you said?
10 Point Construction out of Denison, Iowa.
That's 101, what was it?
101.85 and 8 cents. Second bid from Cedar Falls Construction Company. They also have a bid bond enclosed, and they bid $130,559.75. Since the two quotes showed a clear low quote, Mark recommends the board award the bid to 10 Point Construction.
I'll move the approval to 10 Point Construction for $101,085.08.
Second.
Motion by Radig, second by Ung to approve award. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 10, County Sheriff. Approval of Lexapol Law Enforcement and Custody Policy Manual and Integrated Daily Training Bulletin Services.
Good afternoon. I left you all with a Lexapol proposal. Basically, it's a policy and directive manual along with daily training. There's a little upstart cost, but just so you know, the policy allows us a little better coverage, making sure our guys are following and staying within the directive manual. It covers us for liability issues in case they would go outside of that scope. Here's the issue that most of law enforcement would have is you get hired, you read your policy manual when you start, and not a whole lot happens after that. So this is a daily on your computer while you're working. Some questions will pop up. You have to answer them. You can't just say, oh, I click it, everything's good. There's question and answers on that, part of the training, and then a policy that comes up so that you've reviewed it. It's there to help us liability-wise. Gallagher and Associates, our liability carrier, thinks it's a great idea. The $49,000 is just to help that first year. Every year after that, the price is around $24,000, $25,000, and I would put that into our budget for the following year, or ask that the county would look at implementing this plan, because it's something that's going to help us in any future litigations in case we would be, someone from Sheriff's Office would be outside of the scope of their duties. So I see it as a true benefit and something that would help, lessen possibility of costs and things in the long run. Anybody that might have a question, I'm here to answer whatever you have.
So was this budgeted?
It is not budgeted this year. And we just are to the point where we've had some concerns about policy and directive and trying to keep up to date. Lieutenant Hertz does a great job, but it's multiple. He has multiple assignments on top of it. This is going to help him because most of it's going to be done by a group of attorneys with Lexapol, and then they are going to take both policy manuals from the jail and patrol side and put them together so everybody would be up to speed. And then it also gives that, as I said earlier, that training portion to make sure that they're being read on a daily basis. It's a true benefit. I think it's about 3,500 agencies across the country that are using this as a policy and directive manual.
So when this thing pops up, does it pop up at inopportune times? Can you control that?
I believe it's going to come as an email to start your day. There's emails all the time.
So it's just when they start their shift, not
Probably,
like
it could be there when they start.
while they're out on the,
Yeah, it could be there sometime in the day, and they're going to answer that as part of their duties. They're going to have, I don't know how many hours they have to answer. It could be 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
But it's something that will have to be answered and followed up, probably by the lieutenant, to say, hey, you didn't get this done, and to make sure that's done. So, because there'll be days off, so, but it's a true benefit that truly will help the county. And that's really what we're looking at. It helps us as an agency as a whole to make sure that we're staying within the scope of our duties.
Trying to make sure that everybody's up to speed on, not to say it keeps the honest, but I mean a matter of up to speed on different policies and a change in policy, if you will.
Yeah, and whatever new case law that might come out, so that they understand it, it's going to break it down. You know, recently we had one over towing vehicles. The thing's a nightmare that the Supreme Court has come up with. And so you're sitting there trying to, you got the county attorney to help you. Lieutenant Hertz did a great job getting help from the county attorney. I mean, that is a mess. And it's going to take a lot for us to figure all those things out. And some of the policies that you come up with, you want to make sure that they are understanding of, and there's questions that they'll have to answer to show that they're, you know, knowledgeable of that.
One more level of training.
Yes, it is, and it really pretty inexpensive, and I think in the long run it saves us as the county. I wish that the Gallagher would reduce their price. I think they should, but maybe that's something that can be talked about in the future. They ought to.
They say they're in favor.
Right.
How much in favor they are.
Yeah, exactly.
is it,
Dennis, you got money?
Best place possible right now is out of gaming revenues. We have $236,000 unobligated. And this, again, is a one-time shot for $49,000.
Right.
$31 and he'd budget in the future, in his budget.
And you say second year on, you would get it in your budget.
Right. You approve it, it'd be roughly 24,000. I'm sure it would go up every year.
Plus the savings on your liability.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that it does.
do you have any actual, like, proof that you would get some kind of savings on liability insurance?
No, that's up, I'm hoping I think that's up for bid, but that's out of my league. You guys use it? Oh, yeah, thank you.
Sure. He did say that we could definitely use this in our renewal negotiations, and it seems to be a very good risk management tool.
Are you Melissa Thomas?
I am Melissa Thomas, the Human Resources Director. Thank you.
The star resident expert.
Yeah, exactly.
I did notice that Karen James is actually their senior account executive. Is that why she's not here? Or is it...
I thought, wow, Karen has really moved up in the world.
Any other questions for the sheriff or comments on this item?
So this is essentially the beginning of the fiscal year, you know, the second month into it. I kind of wish, you know, we could maybe push this back maybe December when we're about halfway through the fiscal year, see where we are with gaming revenue instead of, you know, sticking 70,000 into it right now. Just a personal preference, but yeah, that's up to you guys.
How soon would it be implemented if we did it, if we voted on it?
It would be, from my understanding, be right away.
We'll start working on it right away. One of the things that we would have to do is get everything that is specific to Iowa, and our personal or our departmental policies that we do specifically for our office, we would have to merge with them, and it would take several meetings with Lexipol to get that done.
So, also for Melissa, then, when do we plan to have our liability insurance kind of proposals in by?
We haven't started that process.
Right.
For next year yet.
Right, so that's not till next year, so if we started this
Right.
December, it's
Our
still,
insurance goes to the end of this calendar year.
correct.
The total startup is 49,000.
Right, yep. And then
Well,
every year
okay.
after that, it's 24.
So this is just 49 this first year?
And that's 49 1 year, and that includes the policy, which is 20-some thousand.
Right, so
It's only
you
a
pay
one-time.
that up front, though, so you're talking 73,000.
No, 49 total.
That includes the setup and the subscription for 1
The
year.
first year subscription.
Yeah, setup's around 26,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Page 5.
Second and subsequent years, okay, I got it, yep, so it is 49,000.
Well, I would make a motion that we approve the contract with Lexipol and use $49,031 out of gaming revenue for the first year.
I will second. Motion by Potabom, second by DeWitt. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
And I'll say nay, just because, again, I would have liked to have waited a little bit to see where our funds are, but.
Passes 4-1. Mr. Radig opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. County Auditor, item 11, approve amendment number 1 for the Tyler Technology Project. Yes, please.
Because I haven't noticed much from you tonight, so had to do something here.
There you go, yeah, no jokes, sorry.
So what I've got for you today is an amendment to the Tyler project for our technology upgrade for the county. And there are 4 items on this amendment. This was brought to our attention by Tyler. They were reviewing the contract and found a few things that they wanted to change after we agreed to it. The first item is they wanted to clear the terminology of the initial time frame. It's just a change of the wording in the terms to make it more logical of what it's trying to say of when the agreement is, and that's in section F under term and termination. The second item is that they were, noticed that they had quoted us a amount for something called executive advanced scheduling, which is something that we did not want to have in the time card system. And so it actually is a savings of $6,264 in the annual cost that was previously quoted. The third item is they added a maintenance and support agreement. I did have this reviewed, the entire amendment, which is 4 pages long, by the county attorney, and I also had it approved and reviewed by the IT department, because the maintenance and support agreement in here includes a lot of information as far as the security protocol and so forth, and having Tyler be able to access our system to support some of the functions if we need assistance from them. So we did request that they add the WCICC security protocol to this amendment, which they did, and everybody's good with it. So I request approval for this amendment.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Radig, second by Ung to approve amendment number 1 for the Tyler Technology Project. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Moving right along. Item 12, reports on committee meetings. Sure.
Yes, Supervisor Radig and I attended the Sioux Rivers Mental Health Region meeting today. The item most of interest to us was the approval of an additional, or I believe somewhat making whole, $150,000 in one-time funding for the Crisis Center. That was passed unanimously. I think the agenda item took about 14 seconds. Little discussion, but we're of course happy to see our provider made somewhat whole from that cut we all championed a reversal of last time and were unsuccessful. Thank you. The chair of that group, Mark Luch from Plymouth County, was out. He was attending Northwest Iowa Care Connections at the same time. Sue and Plymouth County have submitted letters of intent to Northwest Iowa Care Connections, and I believe it was being discussed at the meeting on the same day today. Apparently, there are 4 to 5 other counties also attempting to join that same region at the same time, so it's a very interesting dynamic. There was also talk about Senate File 2418. Jan Heikes was there representing DHS, and discussion about new or evolving core services and how much funding is needed and how intense the strain is on local governments. This kind of dovetails into my committee report on ISAC, the annual conference I attended this week, where it was discussed that the legislature may look at using a state sales tax increase to fund parts of this program or all of it, given the increased obligations. It would probably dovetail with 3/8 of a cent sales tax obligation already set for the I Will program for environmental efforts. I don't think it'll pass very soon, but I'd be surprised if it didn't keep coming up again and again as as the reserve balances are spent down and there's more and more need for additional funding. Also at ISAC, there was a forum with the 2 major governor candidates. The #1 legislative priority for ISAC this year is tax reform in regards to a continuation of the backfill dollars given to counties from the state. I think we're all somewhat aware of what happened there and how it's actually could be a strain on local governments. Basically, the state government passed a tax decrease, pat themselves on the back, didn't make the corresponding cuts, and then said, here, local governments, you do it. So at some point, that's going to come. We just don't know when. We don't know how long that promise will be upheld. The answer from candidate and Governor Kim Reynolds was that the backfill dollars for local governments would be in her budget next year. It was an absolute answer. From candidate Hubble, it was kind of a roundabout. I'll look at whatever comes across my desk and see what makes sense and what doesn't make sense from the state's perspective. So certainly from the state's perspective, it doesn't make much sense, in my opinion. But from the county perspective, I think if you want to take ownership of a tax cut, you should make the tough decisions that go along with it, as we've done at the local level here. That's what I have.
On that 150,000 that we kind of were made whole, wasn't that, so to speak, our money to start with?
Well,
that's our opinion.
Yeah, yes and no. They used the money that was returned back to the region to help cover that. And it's not that they were made whole, it just covers the 23-hour observation. They have been allowed to start billing finally to Medicare, I believe is what it was, the Assessment and Stabilization Center. Although at this point all claims are denied, so they have to try to bill again. So that was brought up. One other area in billing that was hitting a snag, and the agreements with school districts up in Lamar's, the superintendent's not allowing planes to be reimbursed for the counseling services provided to students. Where all the other school districts do. So there was talk about going to a Lamar's school board meeting, or meeting with the president of their school board to encourage them to allow reimbursement and billing for those services. The other things brought up were the changes in code. in future regions, all counties must be contiguous to a region. So Emmett may be forced into Northwest Iowa Care Connections. They have to have at least 3 counties in a region. There will be no more exemptions. The DHS director will be granted no more ability to grant waivers and no ability to approve a new region that must take legislation. However, they did grant him new ability to assign a county to a region.
Didn't they always have to be contiguous?
Apparently not. I don't know. It says that.
I thought they did.
Okay, I don't know. She said now they must be. I don't know what that means.
Well, maybe with a bunch of them moving out, then Emma might be left alone on an island.
Right, so maybe that's why that
I thought
was
they
added.
always said you had to be at least 3 and they had to be contiguous.
Yeah. Although there are some that are like just a corner touching. I don't know if that was.
So touching.
Yeah.
That covers that big word, contiguous.
Sure. Well, that's just what she brought up, so.
May I add something, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that came out of a disabilities forum that I attended was that one of the providers brought up seeking Medicaid and private insurance reimbursement through the school-based funding, which is absolutely something that I think we need to look at and that I believe Rolling Hills will look at as well. In other words, the county being the dollars of last resort when students have services, you know, they ought to see if there's Medicaid funding or private insurance first, rather than just going straight to the county tax rolls. So that's something I think that, you know, looking forward, we really need to hone in on.
I, for one, have never been able to figure out why they didn't build private insurance and Medicaid first.
I think it's just been easier in the past, you know, because you don't have to submit anything then. And the provider who was talking to me said, you know, then if county tax dollars were used, they could be used that much more rather than just relying on that and bypassing a student's private insurance or Medicaid, Title 19. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Other comments on this topic? Any other reports on committee meetings? Round 2 of citizen concerns. Do we have any concerns from the audience? Hearing none, board concerns. Sirs? Apparently none. We are adjourned.